Captain Hansel stared at the holographic screen floating before their desk, rubbing their eyes in disbelief. The quarterly efficiency ratings for all Federation crews had just come in, and something was very wrong. Or perhaps very right. "Computer, verify Crew 1073's data again," Hansel commanded, their four-fingered hand tapping nervously on the metallic desk. "Verification complete. All data is accurate," the computer responded in its calm voice. Crew 1073, under Do-hwa Kim's leadership, maintains the highest efficiency rating across all 2,500 active Federation crews. Hansol stood up and walked to the window of their office, looking out at the massive academy training grounds below. Thousands of students from hundreds of species trained there daily, following the strict protocols that had guided the Federation for over 3 centuries. "Show me Do-hwa Kim's academy records," Hansol ordered, turning back to the screen. No records found. Do-hwa Kim did not attend the Galactic Federation Academy. The captain nearly choked on their morning drink. "What? That's impossible. All crew leaders must graduate from the academy. It's the most basic rule." "Incorrect," the computer stated. "Emergency Provision 147B allows for direct field recruitment in special circumstances. Do-hwa Kim was recruited under this provision 6 months ago." Hansol's antenna twitched in agitation. "Species classification: human. Planet of origin: Earth." The drink cup slipped from Hansol's hand, shattering on the floor. A human, leading the most efficient crew in the Federation, without academy training. The very idea went against everything they knew about proper space operations. Humans were known for their chaotic approach to everything. They were the newest members of the Federation, barely accepted after proving they could achieve faster-than-light travel. Most species considered them too unpredictable, too emotional, and far too prone to breaking protocols. "Computer, display Crew 1073's mission logs for the past 6 months." The screen filled with data. Supply runs completed in record time. Emergency responses that saved countless lives. Complex repairs performed with unprecedented speed. But what caught Hansol's attention were the method notes. Non-standard approach utilized. Earth-based solution implemented. Protocol modified for improved efficiency. The door chimed, and Instructor Rhea Wook entered, their scaled skin reflecting the office's soft light. "Captain, have you seen the quarterly ratings? There must be a mistake." "No mistake," Hansol replied, still studying the logs. "Every data point has been verified." "But it's a human, and not even an academy graduate." Rhea Wook's tail lashed in agitation. "How can they possibly lead better than our properly trained crews?" Hansol turned to face the instructor, their expression thoughtful. "Perhaps that's exactly why they're succeeding. They're not bound by our traditional thinking." "This is unacceptable," Rhea Wook protested. "What about our standards? Our protocols? 300 years of proven methods." 300 years, Hansol mused, looking back at the efficiency ratings. Maybe it's time for some fresh perspectives. They straightened up, making a decision. "Prepare my ship, Rhea Wook. I want to observe Crew 1073 personally." "You can't be serious." "I am, and I want you to come with me." Hansol smiled at the instructor's shocked expression. After all, if a human with no academy training can achieve these results, don't you want to know how? As Rhea Wook stormed out of the office, Hansol returned to studying Do-hwa Kim's file. Something unprecedented was happening in the Federation, and they intended to understand exactly what this human was doing differently. Perhaps, just perhaps, it was time for the Academy itself to learn something new. 6 months earlier, Do-hwa Kim sat in the waiting room of the Federation Recruitment Center on Earth, watching alien species walk past. The room smelled like cleaning solution and something sweet he couldn't name. His old cargo pilot uniform felt too tight around his neck. "The Federation I will see you now," said a blue-skinned receptionist. Do-hwa walked into a plain white room. In the center floated a glowing orb, the famous Federation eye that handled all major decisions. Do-ha Kim, the AI's voice was warm. Your application is unusual. You have no academy training. No, Do-ha agreed. But I have 10 years of experience flying cargo through asteroid fields and fixing ships with whatever I could find. The AI pulsed softly. Tell me about the Titan incident. Do-ha's hand went to the scar on his chin. My ship's engine died near Titan. No replacement parts, no help coming. So I rebuilt the engine using parts from the cargo. Kitchen appliances mostly. Got my crew home safely. That solution broke 67 Federation protocols. But it worked, Do-ha said simply. Sometimes you have to think differently. The AI was quiet for a long moment. Our academy teaches there is one correct way to handle each situation. You suggest there are many ways. Back on Earth, we have a saying. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Do-ha paused. Though I should mention we don't actually skin cats. The AI's color shifted slightly. Perhaps its version of amusement. The Federation faces new challenges. Perhaps we need new solutions. It brightened. Congratulations, Do-ha Kim. You are now crew leader 1073. What? But I haven't been trained. You will have 3 days to select your crew from our candidate pool. Emergency Provision 147B allows this under special circumstances. When Do-ha left the room, he found Instructor Ryowuk waiting, tail twitching angrily. This is a mistake, Ryowuk hissed. Humans are too chaotic. You'll get your crew killed. Maybe, Do-ha said, or maybe we'll surprise you. Over the next 3 days, Do-ha interviewed dozens of candidates. He ignored their test scores and asked instead about their problem-solving skills. He found Jae-yun, who loved solving puzzles. Tae-ho, who built robots in their spare time. Min-ki, who learned 7 alien languages by watching their entertainment shows. None of them had perfect academy scores. All of them fought differently. This crew is impossible, Ryowuk declared when Do-ha submitted his choices. The navigator spends time on puzzles instead of studying star charts. The engineer breaks protocol by experimenting. The communications officer learned languages from entertainment. Exactly, Do-ha smiled. They're perfect. As they left the recruitment center, Do-ha's new crew looked nervous. We're really going to do this? Jae-yun asked. Fly Federation ships without academy training. Do-ha looked at each of them. The academy teaches one way to do things. We're going to find new ways. Better ways. Who's with me? One by one, they nodded. Behind them, Ryowuk watched them go, making a note in their datapad. Crew 1073. Expected failure time, less than 1 month. They had no way of knowing that in 6 months, this strange human and his unconventional crew would turn the Federation upside down. That's not possible, the station controller said, staring at Crew 1073's ship through the viewing window. You can't dock a Federation ship that way. Do-ha Kim had just turned their ship sideways and slipped it into a space meant for maintenance vessels. The dock was crowded with refugee ships, and all standard-sized spots were taken. Ship is secure, Jae-yun reported from navigation. Just like parking a car in Seoul. The controller's tentacles waved in distress. It breaks 15 safety protocols. But the refugees need their supplies now, Do-ha said, already opening the cargo bay. Not in 6 hours when a standard spot opens up. Inside the ship, Tae-ho was teaching the engine something new. Federation ships used pure energy streams for power. But Tae-ho had noticed these streams moved like water. So they added curves to the power lines, like a river's natural flow. It broke every engineering rule. It also made the engine 30% more efficient. The engine purrs like my grandmother's cat, Tae-ho said proudly, patting the wall. Min-ki, meanwhile, had discovered that most alien species responded better to Earth-style casual talk than formal Federation speech. They started teaching the crew common phrases in different languages. Formal Federation talk sounds like a computer, Min-ki explained. Let's say, how's your day going? In their language, and suddenly they're helping twice as fast. One day, they faced their biggest challenge yet. A cargo pod was stuck in their ship's loading bay. Federation protocol said to call for a special repair team. Wait time, 8 hours. I have an idea, Duha said. He gathered the crew around a box of old Earth tools he'd brought along. These are barbaric, Jai-Yun said, picking up a wrench. Sometimes old ways work best, Duha grinned. Tai-Ho, remember how we fixed your brother's motorcycle? Working together, they freed the pod in 20 minutes. They used ropes, pulleys, and what Duha called good old-fashioned elbow grease. A group of academy graduates watched in horror. You can't just pull things, one shouted. There are procedures. Actually, Duha wiped sweat from his forehead. You can. Physics works the same everywhere. Word of Crew 1073's strange methods spread. Some called them reckless. Others started taking notes. An alien crew leader asked Duha, "Why do you try new things when the old ways work fine?" Duha thought about this while fixing a broken panel with what looked suspiciously like duct tape. Because fine isn't the same as best, he said. Humans learned that sometimes you have to break rules to make better ones. That evening, Jai-Yun found Duha in the ship's common room, drinking coffee and looking at the stars. The other crews are starting to copy us, she said. I saw an Arcturian using a wrench yesterday. Duha smiled. Change starts small, like ripples in a pond. Speaking of ripples, Min-Ki called over the intercom. We just got a new assignment, and you won't believe what it is. Duha took another sip of coffee. Whatever the challenge was, they would face it their way, the human way. Captain Yu-Jin called an emergency meeting of all academy instructors. The meeting room was packed with beings from 50 different species. Their anger filled the air like static before a storm. This human is making us look foolish, Yu-Jin said, showing videos of Crew 1073's recent missions. Look at this. They fixed a quantum drive with primitive tools. They dock ships in maintenance bays. They talk to other species like friends. The room erupted in worried whispers. My students are asking why they can't try new methods, one instructor complained. Mine are bringing Earth tools to class, another added. Yu-Jin slammed a hand on the table. This ends now. I've arranged a special mission for Crew 1073, one that will prove why we need proper academy training. Meanwhile, Duha's crew was handling 3 emergencies at once. Jai-Yun flew their ship through an asteroid field while plotting the fastest route to help a stranded medical transport. Tai-Ho kept their engines running at 110% capacity, something the manual said was impossible. Min-Ki talked to the medical ship's crew in their native language, keeping them calm. 4 minutes to reach them, Jai-Yun reported, her hands dancing over the controls. Engines running hot, Tai-Ho warned. But I've got an idea from when I used to race hoverbikes. Do it, Duha said. The ship shuddered, then shot forward even faster. They reached the medical transport in record time. Instead of following the standard docking procedure, which would take 30 minutes, Duha's crew used magnetic grapples, like the ones Earth ships used for space construction. This is wrong. The medical ship's captain protested. Federation protocols clearly state, protocols won't save lives today, Duha interrupted. Trust us. They saved all 60 patients. News of their success spread quickly through the Federation network. Later that day, Captain Hansol visited their ship. Impressive work, they said, but Captain Yu-Jin has filed a formal complaint. They say your methods are dangerous. More dangerous than waiting 30 minutes to help dying patients. Duha asked. Hansol's antenna twitched thoughtfully. You'll be tested soon. Yu-Jin has arranged something special. After Hansol left, the crew gathered in their break room. The walls were covered with Earth posters, old Mesa missions, Korean space program achievements, and a giant print of the first human faster-than-light ship. They're scared of us, Min-Ki said. No, Duha corrected. looking at his crew with pride. They're scared of change. But change is coming anyway. Humans learned long ago that the universe is too big for just one way of thinking. Speaking of big problems, Jai-yun called from her station. We just got Yu-jin's special mission. It's a spatial anomaly. Category 5. The crew fell silent. No Federation ship had ever survived a Category 5 anomaly. Duha smiled. Well then, let's make history. The spatial anomaly looked like a tear in space itself. Purple energy crackled around its edges, threatening 3 Federation outposts and their 10,000 inhabitants. 5 Federation ships already circled it, following standard protocols. None had made any progress. Crew 1073 maintained safe distance. Captain Yu-jin's voice came over the comm. Observe proper procedures. Duha studied the anomaly through their main viewport. Jai-yun, what does this remind you of? Jai-yun tilted her head. The whirlpools off Jeju Island. My father's fishing boat used to avoid them. Exactly. Space isn't so different from an ocean. Duha turned to his crew. Tai-ho, remember how old sailing ships escaped whirlpools? Tai-ho's eyes lit up. They didn't fight the current. They rode it. Min-ki, tell the other ships to back away, Duha ordered. Use simple terms they'll understand quickly. Min-ki spoke into the comm in 5 languages at once. The other ships retreated, confused but responding to the urgency in their voice. This is madness, Yu-jin protested. You can't treat a spatial anomaly like a water whirlpool. Energy flows like water, Duha replied calmly. Jai-yun, take us in. Tai-ho, redirect power to the forward shields, but in pulses, like a heartbeat. Their ship dove toward the anomaly. The crew felt the pull immediately. We're too close, Yu-jin shouted over the comm. You'll kill everyone. But Duha's crew worked together like a well-oiled machine. Jai-yun steered into the energy flow instead of fighting it. Tai-ho pulsed the shields in rhythm with the anomaly's waves. Min-ki coordinated with the outposts, getting them ready to evacuate if needed. Now, Duha commanded. Their ship spun along the anomaly's edge, like a leaf caught in a whirlpool. But they weren't trying to escape. They were matching its movement. Tai-ho's pulsing shields created a counter-rhythm. The anomaly's purple glow began to fade. It's working. Jai-yun called out. The energy patterns are stabilizing. Impossible, someone whispered over the comm. 20 minutes later, the anomaly collapsed in on itself, leaving empty space behind. The outposts and their 10,000 inhabitants were safe. Silence filled the communication channels. Then Captain Hansol's voice. Crew 1073, explain your methods. Simple, really, Duha said. Humans learned long ago that nature has patterns. Space anomalies follow patterns too. Sometimes old knowledge works better than new protocols. Later, in the ship's break room, the crew celebrated with Earth snacks and drinks. Did you see Yu-jin's face on the video feed? Min-ki laughed. They'll say we got lucky, Jai-yun said. Duha shook his head. Luck is what people call success they don't understand. We succeeded because we worked together and fought differently. A message flashed on their screen. Another mission, even more difficult than the last. Ready for more impossible things? Duha asked his crew. They all smiled. After today, nothing seemed impossible anymore. The Academy's main hall buzzed with noise. Hundreds of students from different species gathered, demanding change. They held signs in various languages. Think different. New ways work. Humans got it right. Captain Hansol watched from their office window. Below, young cadets practiced Earth repair techniques alongside standard Federation methods. This is chaos, Instructor Ryowuk said, pacing the room. Look at them, using wrenches next to quantum tools. And fixing things twice as fast, Hansol noted. The Federation Council had called an emergency meeting. Duha and his crew stood before them, surrounded by holograms showing their successful missions. Your methods break nearly every academy rule, one council member said. But they work, Duha replied. Rules should help, not hold us back. Another council member waved a tentacle. You let your crew learn alien languages from entertainment shows. Yes, Min Ki stepped forward. Because real people don't talk like textbooks. In the Academy's engineering lab, Taiho showed students how they modified their engine. But the manual says this is wrong, a young Arcturian protested. The first human who made fire didn't have a manual, Taiho answered. They tried something new. Jia-yun taught navigation classes, mixing Federation star charts with Earth sailing wisdom. Space is like an ocean, she explained. It has currents, storms, and calm waters. We must learn its moods. Young cadets absorbed everything. Some older instructors watched in horror. Others started taking notes. Captain Yu Jin made one last attempt to stop the changes. They called for a vote of no confidence in the Academy leadership. We must protect our traditions, Yu Jin declared. Han Sol stood up. Tradition is good, but growth is better. Look at our results since Crew 1073 arrived. Emergency response times, cut in half. Ship efficiency, up 40%. Cadet satisfaction, highest in 50 years. The vote failed. Change had come to stay. That evening, Dua found a message on his screen. The Federation Council wanted Crew 1073 to help design a new training program, one that would combine the best of Earth's practical wisdom with Federation knowledge. They're asking us to teach, Jia-yun asked, surprised. Duha smiled. They're asking us to build a bridge between the old and the new. Like my grandmother always said, Min Ki added, the best meals mix old recipes with new spices. Taiho looked up from an engine diagram. But will they really listen? They already are, Duha said, pointing out the window. Below them, Academy students and instructors worked together, sharing ideas, trying new things. The revolution had already begun. Red warning lights flashed throughout the Academy. A power core malfunction threatened to destroy the entire station. 30,000 lives were at risk. All ships respond immediately. The emergency system blared. Duha's crew arrived first, followed by Captain Yu Jin's team. The power core glowed dangerously, its containment field failing. Federation protocol requires evacuation, Yu Jin stated. There's no time, Duha said. We need both our ways. Now. For once, Yu Jin didn't argue. What's your plan? Your ships have better containment fields. Our crew knows how to modify power flows. Together. Yu Jin nodded. They worked as one team. Federation ships formed a perfect containment pattern, their fields synchronized by Academy training. Inside, Duha's crew applied their Earth methods. Like fixing a nuclear reactor, Taiho said, rerouting power through improvised circuits. While sailing through a typhoon, Jia-yun added, calculating safe power paths. Min Ki coordinated between teams, mixing Federation terms with simple language everyone understood. The core's glow changed from red to blue, then green. It's stabilizing, Yu Jin said in disbelief. Because we worked together, Duha replied. Your precision. Our creativity. In the control room, Captain Han Sol watched with instructor Ryawuk. See, Han Sol said. Both ways have value. Ryawuk's tail moved thoughtfully. Perhaps there is wisdom in diversity. Later, the Federation Council met again. They reviewed the incident data. Traditional methods provided stability, one member noted. Human flexibility provided solutions, another added. Together, they saved us all, Han Sol concluded. The council made their decision. The Academy would teach both ways, old and new, rules and creativity, theory and practice. That evening, Dua found Yu Jin in the observation deck. You were right, Yu Jin admitted, about some things. You were too, Dua said. Rules exist for a reason. We just need to know when to bend them. They watched students below, practicing both styles. The universe is too big for one way of thinking, Duha said. Yujin nodded. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. 1 year later, the academy looked very different. Traditional classrooms now sat next to practical training areas. Students learned Federation protocols alongside Earth methods. Duha walked through the halls, now an instructor himself. In his classroom, tools from 50 worlds lined the walls. Earth wrenches hung next to quantum scanners. Today's lesson, he told his students, is about thinking beyond rules. His own crew had grown too. Jai Yun led the new navigation department, teaching pilots to read space like sailors read the sea. Tai Ho ran the engineering lab, where students mixed old and new technologies. Min Ki created a language program that taught not just words but culture. Captain Hansol watched a graduation ceremony. New crews received both Federation badges and Earth toolkits. Remember, Hansol told them, you carry 2 traditions now. Use them wisely. In orbit, ships displayed new markings, the Federation symbol beside their home world's flag. It showed everyone carried their own wisdom to share. Instructor Ryowuk, once the strongest opponent of change, now taught a class called Alternative Solutions in Space. The universe, Ryowuk told students, is full of surprises. Be ready to surprise it back. Even Captain Yujin had changed. They led a research team studying how different cultures solve space problems. Every species has something to teach us, Yujin admitted to Duha over lunch. Even humans. The Federation grew stronger. More worlds joined, bringing their own wisdom. Each new method was tested, studied, and shared. In Duha's office, a frame held 2 things: his Earth pilot's license and his Federation instructor badge. Below them, a simple quote read, "The best solutions come from open minds." One day, a young cadet asked him, "Sir, which is better, the old way or the new way?" Duha smiled. "The best way is understanding that both have value. Federation precision keeps us safe. Human creativity helps us grow. Together, they make us stronger." The cadet nodded thoughtfully. That evening, Duha's original crew gathered in their old break room. The walls now held photos from 100 worlds, all their students' home planets. "We really changed things, didn't we?" Min Ki said. "We showed them a new way," Jai Yun added. "No," Duha corrected. "We showed them that there are always new ways to find. That's the real lesson." Through the window, they watched ships taking off. Each one carried crews trained in both traditions. Each one ready to face the unknown with all the tools and wisdom they had. To the future, Duha raised his cup. May it always surprise us. His crew, his friends, raised their cups too. Above them, the stars beckoned, full of new challenges waiting for new solutions. The end.